My beloved, you were ordained today to be a deacon. That means to be a servant of God. First, his temple, his altar. In each church, at the same time, his living temple also in the face of everyone needs you, asks from you, or else. You chosen a great saint, great contemporary saint, to be your patron saint, Saint Sophrony of Essex, who was the disciple of Saint Silouan of Athos. This great saint put a heavy burden upon your shoulder because he, as you know, searched for a long time for the real God. And after he came back to his real God, to his root, he dedicated himself completely to him. He left the art, he was an artist, and he left Paris and the velvet society of Paris and left to Mount of Athos. There, God put Saint Silouan in his way, and he became his spiritual father. To use him later to tell all the world about Saint Silouan and his importance and his teaching and his humility. His book about Saint Silouan, translated into 17 languages in very short time. And so all the people in the world know about him. Why? Because Saint Sophrony, from one side, gave all his life. When I say all his life, he gave his body, his brain. He was so brilliant man and very high, well-educated man. He gave himself wholly to Christ. So he was sanctified completely. And later, he used all the talents he has to put in the service of Christ and machinery. For this reason, he is one of the great fathers of our church. You know, we have many holy fathers in the church. Some of them are teachers, fathers, great teachers, fathers, like St. John Chrysostom, St. Basil the Great. St. Sophrony is one of them, like them. He had a great grace from God to tell our contemporary society and people now about Christ and the grace of God, how change people, how give them real life and real joy. All of this in their language in the same language they use, because he knows this language. The holy teachers, fathers of the church, were not good people only, were not educated people only. They were very good people, very high educated people, but at the same time, they know the grace of God by experience, because they touch the grace of God and they live with God completely. So they could tell us about God and his action in our life. And all his books talk about this point. Saint Sophrony was so brave man. You know, because of humility, many of us, many of the saints in the church didn't talk about their experience, internal experience with God. But Saint Sophrony wrote a whole book about his internal experience with God. And many people at that time, many holy people, criticized him. But he did it because he knew he has to tell the word about Christ through himself. And he was trustful that this is the call of God to him. At the same time, this Holy Father was very serious man with himself. This is another thing we should focus upon the Holy Fathers of the Church when we talk about them. He was very strict with himself. He lived many years in a cave, alone. But he was so gentle with the others. I'll tell you just experience I had when I was in his monastery. Once he rebuked one of the children of the monastery with hard words, just because he asked one of the visitors of the monastery about his church, and that man was Anglican. He used to advise his monks to receive anyone and don't ask anyone about his church. And don't start debate or discussion about the differences between the churches. Not because he was convinced that they are like us, their faith like our Orthodox faith. No, he was very straight Orthodox man, but because he believes really that they should come and see, and then the grace of God lead them to the truth, not us. So the Holy Fathers are so strict with themselves, but so soft with the others. I want you to focus upon his teaching very well and imitate him as you like, as you can. Because we have a great mistake today, we the Orthodox people, everywhere, not just here in America, but especially here in our archdiocese. There are many people talk about the Holy Fathers, have quotations from the Holy Fathers, but not to know what God tell them through the Holy Fathers. No, they need some proofs to say that what we say is right. Look, this Holy Father said that, and that Holy Father said that. We use the Holy Fathers. Don't do that. And at the same time, we are so strict with the others. On the contrary of the Holy Fathers and Saint Sophrony. We should to be strict with ourselves and so gentle and merciful with the others to lead them to the love of Christ. We cannot lead them to love Christ and to be good people just by strictness and rigidness. So I don't want to talk more about Saint Sophrony. I don't deserve. But I had this blessing to be in his monastery more than one time and to pray in front of his tomb. And one of his spiritual children used to tell him about me. So there is very intimate relationship, combination between me and him. I hope through his intercession you become a new Sophrony in our church. God bless you. المجد لك يا إلهنا، المجد لك أيها المسيح إلهنا الحقيقي، يا من قام بشفاعة والدتك الكلية الطهارة بريئة من كل عيب وبقوة الصليب الكريم المحيي وبطلبات القوات السماوية المكرمة العادلة الأجساد والنبي الكريم السابق المجيد يوحنا المعمدان والقديسين المشرفين الرسل كل المديحون والقديسين المجيدين الشهداء الحسنين الظفر
إلى سنين عديدة ليحفظ الرب إلى الكل الطهر والجزيل الاحترام متروبوليتا